Welcome to an American Conversation podcast, a podcast about a comedian, two feminists, and an animal activist meeting to discuss what the hell is happening in America today. Each week, we deliver compelling news and information with the understanding that as Americans, we can agree to disagree and still be friends for the next round of debates. Listen in every week. Be the fly on the wall. You know you want to.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to an American Conversation podcast. Again, unfortunately, Leland is working. How dare she? So I have to do her job. That's why I have brain farts. But today we have a special guest, somebody that I was stalking on Twitter. And his name is William A. Ferguson. He is a singer, songwriter, or just a songwriter? Songwriter.
Just songwriter, yeah.
Just a songwriter, producer for such bands as Astronaut Preacher and an upcoming project called The Gods Hate Kansas. Though we all knew that already.
Yes.
He also writes about his experiences with trans rights activists on his Substack, Williams newsletter. Love the name. Dispatches from the Gender Wars after achieving peak trans in 2017. Though he wishes he'd rather be doing something else other than having to wade into fight that is ostensibly a women's issue. Yes, thank you. We appreciate you a lot.
Thank you.
Okay.
You're quite welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. So, hi.
Hi. Two things. Actually, yeah, I think two things. First, this is the first time I've ever been on a podcast. First time I've been interviewed ever for a podcast. And secondly, before in a prestigious panel like this one. So
thank you.
I'm slightly intimidated. So,
you
but
should
thank you.
Be because we're prestigious.
Okay.
Yeah, very prestigious.
But thank you for having me. This is wonderful. Yes. In fact, I'll need to put on a blindfold and a cigarette here.
Maybe not.
Assume the position.
For some reason, the men that come on get scared, and they don't have to be.
No, I'm not really. I'm not terribly scared. This is, I'm happy to sit down and talk with anybody on the subject, really. But I'm glad to be speaking to all of you today. So
we're happy to have you.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's start. William, you like to be called William? Billy?
Yeah, that's fine.
Will? Okay.
Yeah, whatever. I'll answer just about anything.
Dude man, Mr. Man, I'll call you.
Sure.
Yeah. No, so tell me, what happened that you fell into this writing, which I put on Facebook. I put it everywhere. Instagram, Twitter. I love your writing.
Thank you.
And it's excellent. I like your analysis. And so why don't you explain to Sandra what you do?
Well, I write about trans rights activists and the colossal douchebaggery that they engage in, in amounts so colossal as to blot out the sun. I started getting into this about 2017, about 5 years ago. And it wasn't like one, it was like a culmination of a lot of things that basically what I came to the conclusion, having looked at this, is trans rights activism is actually men's rights activism for three reasons. The first reason is it's all about the penis and where they can put it. The second is if you reject the penis, you're a transphobic bigot. And three, if you reject the penis, or rejection of the penis is met with rapey, murdery responses, just like men's rights activism. So there it is.
But how did you realize this was happening? Like, how did it come to your consciousness?
I started noticing that, well, first they were coming for the lesbians. No,
I get that. But how was it introduced to you personally where you were like, I really need to look into this?
Okay. I'm sorry. I completely misunderstood the question there. I have a friend. His name is Matt Osborne. You may or may not have heard of him. He ran the Gender Heretics web page on Facebook as well as I did. So it was the two of us until we got unpublished. Apparently we broke some rules and we offended. Oh God, how many do you have?
Well,
I think it was a Tuesday, something like that, and we were breathing, and we existed. So, and we were talking about trans rights activists and slagging them every chance we got. So, yeah, that pissed a few people off.
What do you mean by slagging them? What does that mean?
Well, I mean, not exactly slag. Humor is about the only weapon we have against this unintelligible position. So our position was to basically mock the hell out of these people as much as possible. Just make fun of them, because the whole ideology is truly laughable. I mean, it doesn't stand up to any scrutiny whatsoever. So we took it upon ourselves to make fun of it, because we didn't want to be nasty, we didn't want to be mean, but just through humor, just kind of show how ridiculous this whole thing is. So yeah. But apparently trans rights activists don't have a sense of humor that they're aware of. So,
well, can you talk more about the ideology that you're referring to and what you mean by, I mean, I know what mockery is, but like, is it everything about the trans rights movement, or were there parts of it? Like, what are we talking about?
Well, yeah, thank you for clarifying that for me. Basically, things like they expect that because they're trans identified males who think they're women or claim to be women think that everybody, either straight men or lesbian women, owe them some kind of a date, owe them sex, owe them something, and we don't. And we find this to be basically a violation of our sexual boundaries. I will not date, sleep, or marry a trans person because I'm not gay, and they need to cope. I'm also really pissed off about these slimy men who compete as women in sports. Oh, that pisses me off, something chronic. Yeah, especially with Lee. I thought the world would have been absolutely livid with old man Hubbard in the Olympics. Now we've got Leah Thomas. And I wonder what's going to come down the pipe next.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Ooh.
William, have you always felt this way, or is it since there's such a large movement, trans movement, should we say, last couple of years? What is it?
Well, my memories of, I'm old, in case you're wondering. But back in the mid to late 90s, and my memories of transgender people were they seemed pretty nice people. They just kind of live and let live. And I was okay with that, fine. If this is how you want to live and you're happy this way, great. I'm happy for you. But lately, it's gotten ridiculous. In the last, I'd say since 2016, when I'm looking at women getting doxxed and harassed and deplatformed and fired from their jobs, like Maya Forstater, for example, if you're all familiar with her. And she was, because she dared call a man, and they fired her. I'm like, what kind of crap is that?
That was in the UK, guys. Yeah,
that was in the United Kingdom. But that happens here, too. In fact, I right now have a trans rights activist actively trying to, get me deplatformed from Substack. In fact, I think he's even started a fundraiser of sorts to raise money to get me off Substack. And I'm here to tell you, instead of sending him your money, send me your money. And if it's enough, I'll take my stack down myself.
So what do you think is powering the movement since 2016? What's different from the late 90s? Exactly. And if you're saying that you're old because you were what in the late 90s? Because I saw
up on my 30s.
Yeah.
So wait, you're in your 30s now?
No.
I was 30. I was coming up in my 30s in the 90s.
The 90s.
Yeah, I turned 30 in 1999.
Okay, I'm really bad in math. So what does that make you now?
53. I just turned 53 yesterday. Yeah.
Jeez, that's like, yeah.
I know, you're a baby. I'll
Younger
bring
than
you
at least
later.
three of us.
Yeah.
An old bent baby.
Talking about.
You're almost as old as my kids.
Almost.
The only baby here besides you is Helona.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have two babies here. Oh my God. But yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Helona asked you a question. Please answer it.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat the question again?
I can. The question was, what do you think is powering the movement? The steam that it's gotten since 2016 or what have you. What do you think is?
Oh, social media. For one, social media. Look, whenever we saw a mentally ill person standing on the street corner, yelling at traffic and carrying a sandwich board, telling everybody that the end was coming, we usually gave them a wide berth. We never imagined in a million years that we would actually give them the means and the method to basically infect the world. Let them scream at the entire planet. And
except that what you're describing is not something that's contagious. So I'm asking you, what do you think is different about this? The guy standing on the corner screaming like a nut, you give him a wide berth and he moves on his way. If you don't give him a wide berth, it doesn't spread. You just might get hit by something.
But it does. It does spread because other people kind of clue in on that. Other people, I call this social contagion.
Yeah, that's actually a term. Yeah.
But that's what I'm asking. Why is this a social contagion? What do you think what has it fired up? Because everything is discussed on social media, and there are movements that pick up steam and lose steam, or are hot for 3 days or 3 weeks or 3 months and then disappear. Yeah. What's happening?
Well, to call it a fad would be kind of downplaying it. That's, there
is the billions of dollars being donated to this cause, and
I was going to come to that as well. There are rich and powerful organizations and lobbies who are actively pushing this. And plus, you have the social media angle, and it's being celebrated in the media. Now you've got magazines and publications like Pink News and Vice Magazine who have gone all in on the trans issue, and they're pushing this agenda. And the Guardian over the UK it pushes this agenda. I mean, the other day they were slagging J.K. Rowling because the New York Times has now come out again for the trans agenda. They say, they're trying to reimagine Harry Potter without J.K. Rowling. It's like, excuse me, but this is the woman who created it. How do you take the author of Harry Potter out of Harry Potter?
They took Roseanne out of the Connors.
That's true. That's true. They did. Uh-huh. But she didn't create the show. She wasn't the progenitor of the show.
She was. It was her stand-up. It was her stand-up. Yep.
But it's not on anymore.
No. It is.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, minus Roseanne.
Oh, I didn't like it after Roseanne.
It's called The Connors, yeah. Mm. Yeah.
And do you think that the publications, do you think that they are just on the PC train? That's why they are standing strongly behind the trans movement?
That's a very good question. That's a damn good question. And the answer is, I really don't know. I don't know what's driving this. I don't know why suddenly. Look, in 2007, I think there was maybe all of one pediatric gender clinic in the entire United States, and as of now, there are over 300, and they're just they're expanding exponentially.
Sandra might know the answer to that.
Well, the financial advisors are informing their clients that it's going to be a $1.6 billion industry by 2025. So there's pharmaceutical companies and medical tech companies that are funneling tons of money, billions, through organizations. I believe the one in the States is called ARC.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's the end game seems to be transhumanism.
Which is unnerving to a lot of people.
It's creepy.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is even for like, we talk about like cybernetics, like, you know, I would love to have like a retina implant that would like display information to me. Maybe a cybernetic multi-tool arm. That would be cool. But yeah, I can understand why some people would be put off by something like that. And just that alone is unnerving to a lot of people. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry for interrupting. I just wanted to ask either you, William, or you, Sandra, to talk about transhumanism. Like, what do you mean specifically in this movement?
Transhumanism, as I understand it, is there was an author by the name of Ray Kurzweil, and he wrote a book called something about a technological singularity that was going to occur sometime in 2030. Mm-hmm. And basically, it was going to come to a point where we were going to take an artificial evolutionary step in our development, where we actually merge with our machines.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Have you ever watched like Star Trek? You think of the Borg? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's basically where this is going. Mm-hmm. And I kind of would like to have, like, you know, more memory in my brain, better memory, and better access to it, so I can just call things up at random, and it will. That would be cool. But yeah, I can see why a lot of people would be turned off by that. Why that would scare a lot of people, because once you do that, once you become become a cyborg, basically, are you even human anymore? And how do we define humanity from this point forward? And I think that scares a lot of people.
I haven't even formulated an opinion on it. I've read about it. I'm trying to absorb it and understand it. But when I'm done reading articles or whatnot, I get really skeeved out. I'm like, this just doesn't sound right to me. And it sounds, I don't know, somehow that it's a way of getting rid of females or making females obsolete.
Yeah, it very well could. I mean, there have been experiments in artificial wombs, for example. Okay. Now, if the first person to perfect that, well, I wonder how many women would just forego the process of getting pregnant altogether and, you know, get an artificial womb and stick it in the closet somewhere and grow a baby that way.
I don't think we're going to be around long enough for any of this to happen, actually, because the latest IPCC report tells us we're running out of time. And I see the whole transhumanism thing as part of on a continuum of the anti-nature path that we've been on for a long time. You know, the exploitation, the commodification of everything, resources, water, air, minerals, oil, fossil fuels, all the rest of it. And then the commodification of women's bodies, surrogacy, prostitution. Mm-hmm. Those are all anti-nature, particularly anti-women ideologies or paths that we're on. And if we don't get back in touch with our true natures, and the trans thing is also anti-nature.
Yes,
you're saying that you're born in the wrong body. No, you were born in the body. That's the one you get. And so these are all anti-nature things. And then the ultimate would be transhumanism. And they're not talking about saving our brains. And, they're not talking about us Slovenians. They're talking about a very elite people who will live forever and be wildly intelligent. And there'll be very few of them. And there'll be very few of them. And they won't be us. Will not be us.
No, it's a big club. but you're not in it.
Exactly. You know what's really interesting, Sandra? It just popped into my head. The two guys that went to space and spent, I don't know, billions.
Yeah.
What's his face? What's his name?
Elon Musk
and
Jeff Bezos.
Bezos, right? The one who gave her money away was Bill Gates' wife.
Yeah.
She didn't go to the moon. She gave it away, her billions.
Right.
That's what women do. So these two men, one being on the spectrum, right? Elon Musk is on the spectrum. This kind of thinking resonates with people on the spectrum. And that needs to be explored deeper. It's really weird. It resonates with people on the spectrum and people that are extremely empaths, I find. Now, I could be talking out of my ass, and I do that a lot.
She does.
I do. You just can't. Yeah. But no, I feel like the people that I have met that told me to go fuck myself are either empaths or on the spectrum. And again, all right, I'm lost because nobody's really looking into this. We need a think tank. We need, like the five of us here, we need a think tank with sociologists, anthropologists, scientists of every sort to come in and discuss this to death, because I believe it is an insult. It is an assault on nature. And who's closest to nature, women or men? Women are.
You know, and you have to be really leery about who's going to control that kind of technology, who's going to own that kind of technology. Because if we're not careful about where this technology is going to go, these people are going to have the power concentrated in their hands to control the world or blow half of it up.
But I agree with Sandra. That's way down the line. We're thinking now, like, what are we going to do now to stop?
Well, Kurzweil's 2030, his technological singularity is less than 10 years from now. Okay, it's 2030. 2030 is just it's just 8 years away.
Yeah, when I say we don't have time, I'm saying that the climate crisis will continue and exponentially worse.
Well, by 2050, we're going to be up. We're really going to be up proverbial shit creek.
Yeah.
It's already happened. We're right now. What we're arguing is, are we cool with losing half the planet or 3/4 of it? Because it's already a done deal. We've already lost the planet. We're just arguing about how much of the planet we're okay with losing. Now, you have to keep in mind that there's only 4% of the land, the arable land that we grow food on, is on the coastlines and the deltas. And when those oceans overrun those deltas, and they will, where are we going to grow the food? How are we going to feed the planet? I mean, how do you feed 8 billion people when you've cut the supplies in half? Well, half the planet's going to die.
Well, we have an abundance of food now and scarcity in tons of places, so I'm not sure how much difference that would make.
Well, when you start seeing it here in the United States, when you start seeing the food riots in Seattle and in Los Angeles, when people start raiding the food distribution centers, and when being rich isn't a guarantee that you're going to get enough to eat.
Mm-hmm. Do you suppose that these these billionaire tech people they're not dumb? So
no.
They've probably figured out that we have destroyed the planet, and their way to survive it is to be able to maybe travel around in their little rocket ships, or become transhuman, so that they'll be indestructible and they will not need the planet in order to survive.
Yeah, that's very possible.
Wow, that's optimistic.
Yeah, that's very optimistic.
I know that sounds really nice. Can I join that group? Do you think?
No, you are not. You are not included in this group, Rose. I'm sorry.
None of us are.
The membership, and you're not.
Says you. I might be able to get through. Who knows?
You gonna hitch a ride with Bezos?
No, I'm not on the committee either.
You just know who's not going.
Can we jump over the velvet rope?
I'm thinking of big battles and little battles, and a little battle that's happening in Florida. Helena and I sort of broached it a little bit. The Don't Say Gay bill that just passed in Florida. It's ridiculous. I mean, have you heard of that?
Yes,
William?
I've heard of it. Yeah, I've heard of it. I kind of, I don't really pay much attention to the news a lot. I mean, I try to grab it when I can. But yeah, I've heard that DeSantis has just signed a bill, something about, don't say gay. I think the objection is why this bill was passed is because we really don't want to expose our kindergarten through third graders to sex education.
Well, it's homophobia. I didn't want to interrupt you, but it's homophobia that the reason, because people just feel like you're gay, you want to wear a dress, go right ahead, wear a dress. They should have called it the Don't Use the Word Gender bill. And let kids be kids. And if boys want to wear dresses and girls want to dress like boys, let them, because it's fun. Right. And,
right.
Do you have to talk about sex? Well, you got to talk about good touch and bad touch.
Sure.
As a social worker, that had to be brought up in schools, but to teach kids the gay thing it's ridiculous. Come on. I felt like saying grow up. You know what I mean?
I think it's very much just the next step from the critical race theory nonsense. Yep. Because the CRT was critical race theory. That whole debate was about whether or not it should be taught in schools and what does it mean to teach it in schools. That was never going to happen, and that's never what critical race theory was, and we've talked about that. This is no teacher is allowed to discuss it. They're not allowed to bring it up. It can't be part of the curriculum. And I really think it's the same thing. The whole idea of parents taking back the education of their children and blah, blah. And they're taking out normal things that impact children daily from the conversation.
Yeah,
and kids, the last thing I want to say is that kids spend 7 or 8 hours a day. My kids' teachers see them some days more than they see me, especially when we're doing a show like tonight. So I want them to, we have to give quite a bit of control to our teachers.
I think the problem with teaching preschoolers concepts like gender fluid, all of the 57 genders that there are do not need to be taught to preschoolers.
There's actually 93 genders, and I know this because I read this on a T-shirt that comes in two styles, male and female.
And you're both wrong. There are 9 billion genders because gender basically means personality. That's what it means. It means you are unique. You are wonderful just the way you are. You go boy, girl, or gay boy, gay girl. You do you. Right. We support you. So they should have said is there? No, 10 billion. I think there's 10 billion personalities. How many people on the planet? 10 billion, right?
Whatever.
About 8 billion.
8
billion, yeah.
Give or take.
8 billion genders, or as Rose Medina likes to say, personalities. And then you're male, female, whatever,
Just wash your hands.
Yeah, exactly. Don't touch me with those dirty hands. I'm nasty.
I actually saw that on a gender-neutral toilet door somewhere. It's like, and they had this a man, woman, octopus, dragon looking thing and underneath it said, whatever, just wash your hands.
William, when did you start writing your blog, and what inspired you, at that moment saying, okay, that's it, I'm starting a blog?
Graham Linehan, actually. That's the man who inspired me to write. And it was like, I don't think enough men speak up on this. Even though this really is it's not my fight as a man. I don't think I don't consider myself a feminist in any way because, well, I have a penis, and that precludes me from being a feminist. I will ally with feminists, certainly, but I give some stink eye to any man who says he's a feminist. Okay, he's just trying to get laid, in which case I salute him. But that's all he's in it for. He's not, it's like a Klansman chanting, "Keep hope alive." You bat for the other team. I know it. You know it. The feminists know it. Just stop, please.
What did your first blog say? What was the message on your first blog?
I got it right here in front of me. The first thing I wrote about was, what did I write about? That was back in August. Yeah, I started this back in August of 2021.
William, what's the name of your blog?
It's called William's Newsletter. I know that's very original.
Dispatches from the Gender Wars.
Dispatches from the Gender. Yeah, that was the first. Name. The first one I wrote was actually an automatic one. It's like, yes, sign up now so you don't miss the first issue. That was the first issue of the. But the first one I wrote about was the CEO of Edinburgh Rape Crisis Center advises rape victims to reframe your trauma. That was the first one I wrote about. And it was Meridal Wadwa, whatever, the dude in the dress is what I call him. But he was telling rape victims, "Oh, you need to reframe your trauma." That's exactly what a man who doesn't give a shit about women would say, or misogynist, if you prefer. That's exactly what a misogynist would say. That is exactly the mindset of a misogynist. And the other thing he was complaining about was, and by the way, I will not ever call him her or use any feminine pronouns. I won't do it. Pronouns are hypnol, y'all. Won't do it. It's compelled speech. Don't even go there. And another thing, trans kids, a trans kid is like a vegan cat. We all know who made that decision. Wasn't the cat. But anyway, and the other thing is like he found it troubling that there weren't enough people of color in Edinburgh. Okay, this is a country that is 94% white, but there's not enough colored people in it for him. All right, now that's neither here nor there, but I find his attitude, well, sort of racist, really. In every sense of the classical definition of racist. The cis, white, heteronormative women, he calls them. Not just women or rape victims.
Wait, is he a black guy?
He's an Indian. He's East Indian, I think. Looks East. Yeah, he looks East Indian. But
not enough black people in the UK.
Well, they're in Scotland.
Scotland.
Yeah, in Scotland, it's mostly white people in Scotland. Okay, yeah, all right. Yeah, okay. But they do have Asians, they have blacks and other races in Scotland. There's just not a whole lot of them. There may be someday. They might find themselves on equal parity, but for right now, there's just more white people. And that's just, it is what it is.
William, have you ever heard of the saying, you get more honey with...
you get more flies with honey than vinegar.
More bees with, yeah.
Yeah.
I just totally fucked that up.
Rose has never heard it. That's why she's asking.
It's a white term. I'm Puerto Rican, so we don't talk
fool me 3 times, won't get fooled again.
You get more flies with honey than with vinegar.
Yes, I have
bees with honey.
Flies.
Than with vinegar.
Yes,
my father used to say it, but he's also
en español.
En español, exactly. Sí. So, why you seem a little bit angry, more so than I am as a man?
Yeah, I am.
I want to know the deeper reason. I want to know. I mean, I know why I'm pissed off. You know what I mean? But
I'm pissed.
your your anger seems, don't you want to bring people in? And because your writing doesn't sound like the way you speak.
No, it doesn't.
Writing is very PC in a really good way. Like, I've read your stuff and it sort of teaches me not to be as angry. It teaches me how to be polite and how to analyze and go back and forth. But the way you're talking, you sound like me. Basically, you're Rose Medina. The way you're talking. So what's the deal? What's the deeper issue here?
Well, I'm really crap when it comes to live interviews. Yeah.
So am I.
When I sit down at my Substack and prepare to write and do all my research and then put my thoughts together and then put them on the stack. Okay, I've got time to mull it over. I've got time to think it over. I've got time to clinically analyze what I'm about to say. So when it comes out, okay, it's calm and clinical and somewhat humorous. I try to be funny, at least I hope I'm coming across as funny.
No.
Okay. Thanks for telling me.
Perfect sense, Rose, right? I mean, coming from a childhood where I thought before speaking, because I was always walking on eggshells. So it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Perfect sense.
Yeah, but when I'm sitting here talking to you, is like I'm thinking on my feet, so I don't have time to, be calm and clinical. And I kind of have to take issue with this being angry. I stopped being angry a long time ago. What makes me angry about this is that nothing about this makes me angry anymore. My anger circuits have been burned out under the sheer weight and volume of this colossal douchebaggery as big enough to blot out the sun.
So, I'm sorry, William. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I was also going to say that, I am somewhat angry at men, my tribe, because being a man, I know what we're like. I know how we act. I know what we talk about when you women aren't around, or at least we think you're not around. Okay. I hear the misogyny. I hear the outright misogyny from my fellow men. And I really have to bite my tongue most of the time. Not because I would say anything like that. I like to think my mother raised me better than that. And I think I turned out okay.
Why don't you say something?
Well, you have to pick and choose your battles. Okay. You really do. And sometimes it's not a good time to say, hey, you're being a rapey sounding asshole right now. Okay. Much as I would like to say that, because, maybe you got 5 or 6 different guys all talking about the same thing. And, are you going to fight all 5, 6 guys at once?
Yeah.
Yeah. You get your ass whooped that way.
Don't you watch movies? That's what the men do. They fight guys and win.
Yeah.
Wait, but is it no option that it could actually just be a conversation, or do you just assume it's going to go to blows?
Good question.
Well, yeah, you don't know. You just don't know. That's another thing with men. Okay. Statistically speaking, we are 97% likely to rape you, 88% likely to kill you. Okay. Or commit some other kind of violent behavior towards you, specifically because you're women. I guess if you can't beat them, right? And that's basically what's happening. Okay. I'm sorry, the lady in the red shirt, what was your name again?
Are you talking to you?
Yes, I'm talking to you. Yes, I'm talking to you. That lovely lady in the red over there. What was your name again?
Sandra.
Sandra. I'm sorry, Sandra. I'm
no
horrible
problem.
with names.
No problem.
But as Sandra alluded to, time is running out. And one of the things that's happening as this time is running out is there are more girls than boys being born. Has anybody noticed this?
No, because they're all dead. They kill them right when they're born.
Right. But there are nature is producing more girls than boys. Okay. So very soon, I mean, now, as of now, women have about a 1 to 2 percent advantage over us. They outnumber us men. And,
but we have a whole generation of girls who are trying to be men.
That's true.
So they're going to be useless. They're not going to be in the fight. They're just going to be trying to deal with all their health issues, and they're not going to join the fight to overturn this stuff. They're just going to try to survive once they realize the horrible mistake they've made.
I just lost a friend to this. In fact, she was the other half of Astronaut Preacher.
Mm.
And she informed me that, well, first she found my Substack. Anyhow, I try to keep my business or personal life separate from my professional life. So what I do on my own time is I keep it to myself. I don't advertise it. But she found my stack because somebody told her about my stack. And I come to find out that she is intersex, or that she was born intersex. Now,
that has nothing to do with the trans.
Exactly. Because intersex is a sex-specific condition. So I didn't think to ask, well, what sex-specific condition did you have?
Herpes. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I didn't ask her that. Okay, I'll just take her at her word but being intersex doesn't make you a third, fourth, or nth sex. It just, you are either male or you're female, and there may be variations, but you're not. Depending on where you are in this spectrum, you're not anything else.
Did you say that to her?
Yeah, I told her that. I told her as much.
And what did she say?
Well, she just went off in the weeds on me. And then
when did she divulge? Sorry, when did she divulge to you, and what made her?
About 5 minutes before she dissolved our partnership and blocked me on Facebook. Okay, granted, I hadn't spoken to her in 20 years. We get together to do this project, and then now she's going to not talk to me ever again. Okay, that's fine, because I'm not going to play the trans women or women game. I'm not going to do that. That's a lie. You are asking me, basically what this came down to was either I lie or I tell the truth. Well, I can't lie. Men cannot be women, and women can't be men. That's just the way it is. No amount of hormones, no amount of surgery, and no amount of pronouns changes that at all. So I'm not going to play that game. If
You know what it reminds me, William? Hold on, I'm interjecting. You're reminding me of a whole bunch of stuff, but I grew up in a family that was built on denial. A lot of drinking and all that. So my sister and I were the only ones who would look and say, this is crazy. This is crazy. And the only way we would be accepted within the family is if we lied and made believe everything was okay. And I refused.
I had an uncle who had a drinking problem. He was an alcoholic, straight up. And my grandmother thought everybody else in the family, including myself, all had drinking problems, except for the guy who really had a drinking problem.
Exactly.
And I remember when he went to the hospital for what was going to be the last time. He died shortly afterwards. But I got a phone call from his doctor at the hospital. And he was asking me some questions, and finally he asked me, well, we noticed his blood alcohol level was a little high. Okay. Well, I know how much he had to drink. He said, well, how much did he have to drink? And I said, well, The night before he came to see you, he drank a case of Coors and 2 pints of Captain Morgan spice rum by himself. And you can literally hear the skeletal click as that man's jaw hit the floor. And then he said, well, would you consider your uncle to be someone who has a drinking problem? And I said,
No, you said, no, I don't.
no, I consider my uncle to be an alcoholic. And my grandmother heard me say this. He is not an alcoholic. He doesn't have a drinking problem.
William, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but go back to your workmate and how.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, basically, she told me, well, you're going to have to be, the word she actually used was rehabilitated. What? I'm sorry. Like, there's something wrong with me. Okay. Mind you, she once said something to the effect of there is a difference between a male penis and a female penis. And I thought to myself, what possibly could that be? Mouthfeel?
Or one's not a penis?
One's not a penis?
Big clitoris.
Yeah.
Okay, and I don't want to come off sounding like I'm slagging her. I'm not. She has her opinion. She has her view of the world. I have mine. Apparently, these two things are not compatible. So maybe it's just better that we don't, we just don't carry on anymore. Okay. As the saying goes, I've already cashed that check. We already made it. We already did the song. We already did the single. Okay.
Okay. Hold on. Those are white terms. I don't know what they mean.
Okay.
What do you mean by that?
We actually wrote. We recorded a song together. It was a pandemic project that we did. It was called "Hush Your Mouth," Little White Lies. It's on iTunes and I'll shoot you the link later if you want to take a look at it. And it's on YouTube if you want to also look at it there. We get paid either way, and it's also on Spotify, so we get several different kinds of revenue streams going. But we put out that single. Okay. That was a year ago, or a year or two ago. Yeah, a year ago. No, 2 years ago. I can't remember when. It's been so long. But yeah, it came out on October 28th of 2020, I believe.
Okay.
And so it's been out for a while. And like I said, I've already collected my money. I've already cashed that check.
Got it.
Okay, so. And I pretty much said to myself, after I wrote the song, that was like, well, after put the music together, and she put the lyrics on it. But I said to myself, after having written the song, was like, well, if I am just to be a one-hit wonder, that's fine. I've more than proved my point. Okay, I have been struggling as a musician for a long time. Okay, so I finally put out a really great song, a hit song. And okay, if that's the only hit I ever wrote, they still remember one-hit wonders from way back when. Okay, so I joined the one-hit wonder club, and I'm fine with that.
I think though, don't you feel that maybe you could have approached her a different way to try to make a connection with her so she could see your point of view?
No, because she wasn't going to entertain. Okay. She wasn't going to entertain anything. I mean, she literally accused me of spreading misinformation about transgendered people, even though I have multiple receipts of the things they do and the things they say. I'm not lying. I don't have to lie. But it's all misinformation. Okay, when you start coming at me like that, like accusing me of propaganda, of misinformation, even though I'm not lying, I don't have to. Okay, I can't deal when I'm the asshole in this story. When I'm not the asshole in this story.
I feel the same way. I feel like I'm always the jerk. I'm saying something wrong, and to me, I just say I'm just using facts. And I don't. One lesson that my father taught me was, if you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, shut the fuck up.
Right. Exactly.
And that's the way I am. That's why I say, when I'm talking out of my ass, you're going to know it. But if I'm saying something, I've done the research. So I want you to do the research to enlighten me on new information. And they have not been able to do that.
And I tried that with this person. I said, look, I pointed them towards turfisaslur.com. Have you seen this website? Yeah. I mean, that's just a fountain of information where I pull most of this stuff from. But when I first looked at it, I was just horrified with what I was reading.
Well, we had Dr. Blanchard on. He is the
the AGP guy. Yeah,
he was on. Yeah.
Oh, I would love to have met him.
Well, you can listen to the episode.
Okay, I'll have to check that out.
The trans community said that we were basically batshit nuts women who didn't accept that AGP men have rights. I'm like, of course they have rights. I just don't want to be part of the policy laws that are changing to make it okay for them.
Oh, you women are just horrible. You know that? You're just awful. Just crazy bitches. Come on now.
That is a true statement. I am a crazy. Yeah.
Oh, you're horrible.
The problem is they don't want to engage in conversation or discourse. They don't want to have an exchange of ideas. They're not interested in facts.
There's a cult.
No discussion, no debate. The reason that they say that is because they cannot discuss and debate it. They have
it is literally a cult. This is exactly the tried and true hallmark of a cult. There is no dissent. There is no other opinion other than the cult leader's opinion.
Who's the leadership?
Oh, that's a good question.
Thank you.
Whoever screams the loudest, I guess. And oh boy, there's quite a few howlers out there.
Well, so it's infiltrated my children's school. I'll put it that way.
Has it really?
All schools,
every school.
Yeah.
Well, the thing in Virginia, Loudoun County, where the media tried to spin this, they were trying to teach critical race theory, and the parents were all upset. No, that's not what happened. Mm-hmm. What happened was there was a young man who suddenly caught lady feels one day, and he kept wearing a dress to school. Okay, that's fine. You want to wear a dress? Hey, cool, dude. You do you. But then he raped a girl in the girls' bathroom, raped her. So rather than let the law deal with him, they transferred him to another school where he brutally sodomized, anally raped another girl. And the father's daughter showed up to that meeting. He was the one that they dragged out in handcuffs. If you remember, if you saw that.
Yeah.
Okay, and they tried to sit, and the media stood there and tried to tell. I used to think the media was, they were square, fair dealers. They're just squaring on the level with us most of the time. Yeah, I know that's a very naive position to take. I'm sorry, but I used to trust the media until I saw this bullshit go down. And the other thing that was the We Spa incident. You remember that? You didn't remember about the spa in LA where they had that big
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, they were trying to, there was no trans person there. Well, it turns out, yes, there was a trans identified male there, and he actually he's a sex offender. Yeah. Hello.
Wait, trans identified male is what?
A man.
A man
who says he's a woman. With his lady
trans
dick.
Woman.
Yeah, waving his lady dick all over the women's locker room, in the women's dressing room.
With an erection, right? There was a
he's got wood. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, why else would he do it, Rose? Come on.
Yeah, why else would he do it?
Wanted to get a spa day to.
No, I mean the swinging it part.
Yeah.
He was pretty proud of what he had.
Oh
No.
yeah, and they actually caught,
smacked it.
and they actually, that one Cubana angel lady who came out and just like raised holy hell.
I try to get her on.
Yeah, she's been very. I tried to get her to contact Graham Linehan. And I sent her the particulars and said, "Yeah, you need to come on the show because, lady, you're a hero. You're exactly the hero we not only deserve, we need, and we wanted this whole time. Thank you for doing this." And
what I loved about her was when the woman in the back, the employee was saying, "No, it's a woman."
The guy.
Correct. And saying, "No, women don't have penises. He has a dick."
I see a dick.
Yeah, she kept saying that. It was very, very cool.
And that's exactly how you talk to these people. Okay, this is, in my Substack, there was one newsletter that I wrote called The Ferguson Challenge. Now, you've all heard of the Staniland question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does a man have the right to whip his dick out in a changing room with in front of women and girls? Okay, that's the Staniland question. Now, everybody who reads my stack knows who Helen Staniland is. Okay, they're all familiar here. The Ferguson question is, if you really think trans women are women, go ahead and fuck one.
Deborah, go ahead.
Yeah, let me see you ramming on home in there so hard that the next man who pulls it out is going to be King of England.
Oh,
ooh, TMI with that visual, dude.
Sorry.
I'll never.
Okay.
Never get that up.
Because these guys, these men who simp, who just like, "Oh yeah, trans women are women, dude." You are lying through your fucking teeth. You would never date, fuck, or marry a trans woman at all. At all. You are lying. And not only are you lying to yourself, you are lying to the trans person. And no, you don't get in the Ferguson Challenge, you don't get to sleep with the trans person, the trans woman you like the looks of. Oh no, it's got to be one of these other stunning AMAB queens that we see. They're like, "Oh yeah, I'm here to look good and piss off transphobes." Like really ugly ones, the ones that really look like men.
Oh, that's mean.
Yeah, that's who they have to sleep with. To prove it. Prove that you think trans women are women. Go ahead. Let me see you fuck one.
Now, wait, let's say there is a trans person who truly is a trans person, where Dr. Blanchard said it's 5%, 2 to 5% of the study he did were truly dysphoric people, men.
Yes. Yeah.
They have a right to live their lives and exist and be happy.
But
right?
so do I.
No,
and so do you.
Yeah.
So do all of us. We all have the right to live our lives and be happy and be safe and secure. We all have that right. And
but we need to separate the issues. That's why I call it an onion. We need to separate those good men and women who truly are dysphoric. It's not a lot. It's a very small number, and separate them from these men that you're talking about.
Yeah, the men, the cocks and frocks, the men in dresses, exactly. As I call them.
Exactly.
Yeah, because 95% of these so-called trans people don't do gender reassignment surgery. There's one in England. His name is Alex Drummond. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's good Lord. He calls himself a lesbian, which really pisses me off. Something chronic. And he was like, "Oh, I would never get surgery. Surgery terrifies me," which led Madeline Burns, God rest her soul. We got to do the genuflect there when we say that name. And peace be unto her. That led Magdalene Burns to quip. "Well, of course it frightens you, Alex. They chop your dick off." Oh, hallelujah. Preach.
I disagree with with Ray Blanchard on the issue of that there's something that there are people who are inherently trans or there are people who suffer from body dysphoria. Every woman I've ever known, but
Sure.
but for some people it's extremely severe. It's a mental health
Illness.
problem.
It's a mental illness. Yes.
Yeah. It doesn't mean that they were born in the wrong body or that there is something that is validly trans. Like it's a figment of the imagination.
Yes.
And so we need to support people who have mental illness. And we need to demand that they get proper care, but affirmation is not proper care.
No, it isn't.
It's malpractice.
Okay, if it would be like, let's say I have, bulimia or anorexia, and I go to a specialist to get help for it, and instead of trying to get to the root cause of why I have anorexia or bulimia, oh no, you're really fat. You should lose more weight. We agree with you. You're just too fat or you're too skinny. You need to pack it on and keep eating or keep binging.
Women go through that all the time.
I know, and I'm so sorry. I really am. I just.
Thanks.
Anyway,
I'm so sorry.
If I was the doctor, I would prescribe diet pills for the bulimic and also gastric bypass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That would be affirming anorexic's belief in their soul that they're fat.
No,
I have to go back. I'm sorry, because I can't let this go. My stomach is in a little bit of a knot. And I probably got caught up in what you were saying, William, that I might not get specific enough. But the example that you were using about men, the men who support the trans rights movement, they would have to not just fuck any trans, but fuck the ugly trans. It feels real misogynistic to me. That's how it rings.
You're right. It does. And I'm very sorry. But these aren't women we're talking about. These are men.
Yeah, but I still want to go back to that because that's not quite the same issue. I just need to address it because it's still this is what Rose was saying. There are layers upon layers. And what you end up doing is assigning, ugly womanhood. And then we're focused on, then it really still becomes about gender stereotypes and, beauty, the pressures and the lies of beauty, I think. But really sort of demeaning. And Rose asked the question, is there a, what do we say about people who are truly transsexuals, what was once called transsexual, and people who had a medical transformation? But the lookism, appearanceism, I don't know what it's called, but that's problematic. I think that's really problematic.
Okay. Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
Hold on. In his defense, Helona, and
who asked you, Rose? I asked William.
Excuse me, my name is William. Hello.
Okay, Willie.
Transgender movement is all about looks because to them, they need their lipstick, they need their high heels, they need their dresses. So
and how well they pass.
How well they pass, and do they look pretty, and do they look amazing? So for him to allude, I want to see a heterosexual male have sex with an ugly trans sort of feeds into the fear. I could be wrong. That's how I got it.
You nailed it. You nailed it. Because again, I don't think what I'm saying is misogynistic. And I'm sorry if I come off that way. But these are not women we are talking about. These are
Okay,
men.
but what about the, and Sandra was talking about this. I think Sandra might have said it first. Maybe you did, William. The rate of young girls who are transitioning to
men. Well, they're not. They're not men. They're never going to be men.
That's not what I said. What I said is there are young girls, teenagers and up who believe to themselves to be transitioning.
Right.
And so that's not the looks issue, I think, Rose. I don't think that's about how they look, because these are
the opposite issue. It's don't look at me.
Yeah, it is. They're trying to escape their sex-based oppression.
Exactly. The gender.
And they're trying to get out of being girls.
Exactly.
That's woman to man, but man to woman.
Because guys get away with everything.
Yeah.
Guys can do anything they want, but girls, oh my God, I feel so bad for these girls, especially today. I know back in my day, it was rough being a girl.
Nothing's changed.
It's gotten worse. It's gotten even worse. But now these girls are sold a lie. And the lie is, oh, honey, you could just transition. You could change.
Hold on 1 second, because Halona and I have been having this discussion for a year now, but it's awesome because we break it down. So that's what's insidious about the transgender movement, because it forces gender roles.
I know.
So the girl, it is about looks, in that she does not want to be sexualized. She just wants to be a kid, even if she wears slutty clothes. Like, even if she likes to if she's 13, 14 and likes to be sexy and figure out her sexuality, she's still hounded by creepy men, not so creepy men, who sexualize her. She doesn't want to be sexualized. She just wants to get a feeling of what it is and have boys her own age be like, oh, you look pretty, or you look this. But they pick up on the misogyny too, the males. So I think some girls will be like, you know what, this fucking sucks. I'm a guy. They have it better. And they become androgynous, they whatever. And with the males, it's, I want to play with beauty, and I want to play with makeup, and I want to play with this, which is fine, unless, yes, I'm sorry.
No, I was raising my hand because, that was me in the 80s.
Yeah.
I did the makeup and the colored hair and the wild clothes and everything. Okay. And I did the androgyny bit. Okay. And back then I could pull it off. But I never once said I was a woman. I never once believed myself to be the opposite sex. I knew I was a guy. I knew what was between my legs. I knew I wasn't trying to pass as anything other than a man or male. I knew that. But I really don't know what the hell is going on now.
That's my next question. Is this all one movement? I ask this all the time. Is what used to be LGB...
It's LGBT, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K.
Well, but there's so many parts of it, and I ask this question of all of our guests: is it just one movement?
I'd have to say, mostly. It seems that way, but it seems to be a multifaceted movement. If you can call it that. It's hard to describe this.
I think they usurped the LGB movement and the African American civil rights movement, because now they connect the trans ideology with, if you don't agree with them, you're a racist and you hate black people.
And it's also, and the pedophiles have moved in on this.
Yeah.
Okay, and this has been my biggest complaint about the trans movement in general. There is no gatekeeping. There is the gay community rightfully kicked these assholes out. We don't want you here, get out. The trans community welcomes anybody. Anybody who says they're trans is trans. I can call myself trans. Looking just the way I am right now, I can stand here and declare myself to be a woman. And you all have to accept this, or I will dox, harass, and get you fired.
I'm retired, so.
Yeah, okay.
I was going to say I work for myself.
Right. But okay. When you don't gatekeep, when you just let anybody identify into your grouping, you get people like John Goodyear over in the United Kingdom, or who calls himself Claire, who I call Chomo the dog fucker. John Goodyear says now he's one of these trans weekend warriors. He's only trans on the weekends because Monday through Friday he's a guy, but he was back in 2004. I think he was arrested and convicted on being a pedophile. He was a nonce. But now he's calling himself Claire. He didn't register with the police that he had changed his name to Claire. And when they did a spot check on him one day, they found a thumb drive. And on the thumb drive was graphic video of him having sex with a dog. Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, you can all reach for the puke buckets right now.
And it was recorded that it was a woman who was found with.
Right. And it was the crime of, it was the crime of a woman.
We like fucking dogs all the time.
Yeah. I mean, come on, who doesn't? But didn't he go on like a cocaine bender and then for 3 days and then fuck a dog? Yeah.
Yeah.
I do it.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Rose does it. You do it without the coke, Rose.
I do it without the coke.
Wow.
Like one of those Swedish porn movies from the 70s.
Oh my God.
Oh, Lord, that takes me back.
Oh.
Oh, no.
William, we need to wrap it up. Are there any final thoughts that you want to,
Like how long till we're transhuman?
About 10 years, give or take, if Kurzweil's prediction holds true. I would also like to say that I think the actual trans community, if such a concept exists, really needs to start putting foot to ass and start cleaning house in its own backyard. Just get these freaks out of here. They need to do what the gay community did with the pedophiles. Just go.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
You're not trans. You're not gay. You're just a kitty. You're just a kitty diddler, and you need to go because you're making us look bad. And I think that's pretty much my argument in a nutshell. Is like, okay, if there truly are trans people out there, yeah, they need to sort this out.
The transsexuals.
Or the transgender. Yeah.
I think it's a great word.
No, there's no such thing as being transsexual. There's really no such thing as being transgender either. You're still the sex you are, no matter what.
Yeah.
You're never gonna change that. And we need to stop lying to our children about this. Especially to these young girls who think who are trying to escape their oppression. And it feels so bad for them, but we need to do better. I think as men, we need to do better. And I'm speaking for myself and for the male community. I think we really need to do better. And I don't think we've done enough. So that's it. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
I agree with you. I think men should jump on the bandwagon and fight for us because it's a man's issue. It's not a woman's issue.
No, it isn't. And at first it seemed like one at first, but now it's like I'm constantly evolving my position on this, and I'm growing it, and what I think is in the right direction. But yeah, we need to step up, men, and we need to do better.
Deborah, you were going to say something?
No, on a light note, just to end things, I was wondering what Ray Davies, from the Kinks, the band The Kinks, what his experience was when he wrote the song Lola. That's all just crossed my mind.
That's a good question. William, thank you for being on with us.
Well, thank you for having me. It was lovely, and I'd like to do this again sometime if it's all possible.
Absolutely. Any new information comes on, send me an email and I'll have you on.
Okay, will do. I'll hold you to that. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, William.
You're welcome. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Nice talking to you all.
So much.
Nice meeting.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Join us every week for an entertaining and informational time. And if you want to suggest a topic for our show or just want to know more about us, go to our website, www.anamericanconversationpodcast.com, and comment away. We will try to respond as soon as possible. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and subscribe to our podcast.